Mr. Speaker, historically, the appointment of electoral returning officers in Canada have been political appointments made by Cabinet for Liberals and Conservatives alike. Every province except New Brunswick and PEI has removed this form of political patronage from their electoral system. Elections New Brunswick made a proposal to government 2 years ago that made 108 recommendations to modernize New Brunswick's electoral laws. In the 2 years since, the recommendations have just sat on a shelf. Following the 2020 election, Election New Brunswick highlighted 9 amendments to the Election Act that they thought were crucial, and ending political patronage for returning officers was the top recommendation. So my question is to the Premier. Will the Premier bring forward legislation this fall to implement the recommendations from the Chief Electoral Officer to ban political appointments for returning officers and instead give the Chief Electoral Officer the authority to hire returning officers through a merit-based process?
The Honourable the Premier.
Thank you for the question, and I think there is validity to analyzing the proposals and understanding, the pros and cons of that. So what the commitment today certainly would be to review that process and review those recommendations in the real terms and have discussions about them to see the merits of change. And if other provinces are doing this to the extent that the member recognizes, then what have they learned from experience and what benefits are there? I think sounds like there's lots of already information to warrant that sort of review. So that would be the commitment, to do a decent review and recommendations and see where we go from there.
The Deputy to Kent North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's get it done. Mr. Speaker, without electoral reform, we cannot truly end our system of political patronage. The current electoral system in New Brunswick is unfair and unrepresentative. In last year's election, less than 40% of voters and only 26% of eligible voters voted for the PCs, yet they obtained a majority government for 4 years. Moving to that's a huge problem. 26% of the people voted for them, and they're happy. That's incredible, Mr. Speaker. Almost 20 years ago, Bernard Lord's NB Commission on Legislative Democracy recommended a mixed-member proportional representation system for New Brunswick. In 2017, the Commission on Electoral Reform recommended that Electoral Boundaries and Representation Commission consider some form of proportional representation. Will the Premier direct this board to recommend proportional representation voting system for New Brunswick?
Thank you. The Honourable the Premier.
So what's wrong with that program? Mr. Speaker, we will be doing a whole reform package in terms of analyze that. That is fallen within our term here at this point. And so we'll be reviewing not only the number of ridings, but all of the aspects of electoral review. Certainly the minister, through the municipal reform and how that looks in terms of, we discussed different region, we discussed different autonomy. So I think it's a bigger bucket here now that we're thinking about in terms of how our province really is, divided in regions, but how we can make sure that whatever we end up with is the best solution for a given region, no matter where it is in the province. We want more regional autonomy in decision making and control. And I think, there's been a lot of suggestion about that. And Minister Land has done a lot of traveling to get feedback and views. So I think the entire thing is being looked at under the municipal reform review.
Time, Premier.